So this part of the video is out of sequence. What you're looking at is the capacitor that came out of my 1989 R22 central air unit. It had been making quite a bit of noise over the summer, more than usual, but it's been starting fine, it's been running fine. Like I said, with the exception of the compressor clearly making a racket. It's supposed to be a 40/5. I figured let me switch it. It's the end of the season. I'll put a new one in for next year, and maybe that's what's giving me the noise also. So here you can see the fan is 5, which it should be 5 microfarads. The compressor should be 40, and literally I threw this in the garbage. I wasn't planning on testing it, but then I'm like, you know what? Let me see what it was. Let me make sure it's still good, and it's 30.4. So the compressor has only been getting the equivalent of a 30 microfarad capacitor when it really needs a 40 to start and run. So the reason I'm making this video is not to show you simply how to put a new capacitor in. It's fairly easy, but to tell you that if your unit is making more noise than usual, it can be a bad capacitor. I thought it's either dead or not dead. That's not the case. Okay, so here we are at the AC unit. I'm trying out this new small Insta360 camera. So if it's not pointed the right way the whole video, I apologize. Literally, you just get to the compartment where the electronics or electrical part is. I turned off the breakers. I turned off the condensing unit breaker, which is the outside unit, and I turned off the evaporator breaker and the air handler, which is inside. The reason is if you accidentally touch a couple of wires, even if the outdoor unit is off, you can kill the transformer indoors. So I didn't want to do that, so I turned both of them off. So here I'm just opening the access panel. I removed the screw, and there's a contactor inside of there, which is no more than a switch. There's the capacitor, which is attached to the back wall over there. And you have all the wiring. You have one wire coming from the fan, you have one wire coming from the compressor, and you have 2 wires, which is 240 volts coming in from the house. And you have a little small wire coming in from the air handler. Okay, so when you take the capacitor out, be very careful because the top metal part can be live. That could be holding electricity, so you have to short it out. You make sure you take a screwdriver or something that's got a rubber handle, and you touch 2 of the 3 and another 2 of the 3 metal parts to each other. You can watch a bunch of videos on how to do that. So all I'm going to do, it's simple. I have another capacitor. They have a dual capacitor like this, has 3 places on top. One says common, one says Herm, which is a compressor, and one is fan. I'm going to simply just replace, I'm going to do one at a time, take it off the old capacitor and put it on the new capacitor. So I'm going to forward through this so you can see. So I'm just pulling them off the old capacitor and putting them on the new capacitor. Same terminals that they came off of. It's straightforward, especially if you got the same capacitor, which was just luck. Although I think these are probably the best ones. Okay, so I'm just putting the capacitor back on. I'm screwing it back in. I'm making sure none of the wires or nothing's touching any of the metal. And then I'm putting the cover back on the electrical panel, which is right there. It's not waterproof, of course. And then I'm just putting the side panel of the AC back on. And then I'll put the top panel of the AC back on. And I'm going to cut the power outside so that when I put the power back on is when the unit starts up. So I could be standing there to listen to it when it starts up immediately. Now I'm coming back out of the house after putting on the power to the indoor and outdoor unit and turning the thermostat down so that the AC should now be on. So the air handler upstairs is on. The only thing that's not on is the compressor outside because I turned the power to it off. So now I'm going to flip the switch and make sure this whole thing works. All right, ready to listen? Now obviously, depending on where the microphone is pointed, this is going to sound different over YouTube than it does in person. Suffice it to say, it sounds much better than it sounded before. It's an old unit, it's from '89, which makes it like 35, 36 years old. The compressor is loud, but it sounds much better than it sounded before. So mission accomplished. So the point of this video was not to show you how to change a capacitor. It's just to tell you that the value of the capacitor in my case was 30 rather than 40, and the AC was running, but it was making a bunch of noise. So check your capacitor if your AC is making a bunch of noise. Thanks for watching.